Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. So by the time this video goes live, I'm assuming every server should not only have their rank reset, but each server should also have dynamic queue and the new champion select ready to go. And specifically for the dynamic queue aspect, well, there has been quite a bit of different opinions throughout the community on whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. So throughout this video, I'll go over what are the good things and the bad things about the new champion select and dynamic queue. So if you end up enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit that like button, as it does help me quite a bit. And I want to start doing a new thing with you guys where I'll ask you a question in a video, you write the answers down below in the comments, and I'll pick my favorite answers and showcase them in the next video at the end. So the question for this video: what do you like or hate about the new dynamic queue system? Let me know down below. Alright, so let's finally jump into the good things and the bad things about dynamic queue and the new champion select system, with of course starting off with the good things first. So in regards to the new champion select or champion pick system, it's definitely quite good because, well, you are guaranteed to get your two best roles. So you really just can't come up with false excuses by saying, oh well, I don't play this role a lot, I'm not really experienced with this, why was I stuck with this role, and things like that. Theoretically, you should be playing your two best roles every single game. Now I'm sure for a lot of people, including myself, this is absolutely wonderful news because getting your role in ranked was always one of the most frustrating things possible. You no longer have to fight over which role you can play based on your pick order in the champion pick and ban phases. You don't have to argue with your team before the game even technically has started, and while I'm sure we can all agree this was a very welcoming change. It's also quite good how the roles and authority is now split among the 5 players in the pick and ban phase, with the first 2 of course getting the first 2 picks more or less, and the bottom 3 players now have the priority of being able to choose what to ban. So everyone feels like they have some form of impact on the game, and now being last pick isn't always necessarily a bad thing. Now when talking about the dynamic queue system, well, we all have to admit it does feel better. It feels more comfortable being able to play ranked or quote-unquote solo queue with your friends. Before, I would love to duo queue with a friend, someone I feel like is a good player, because I feel more comfortable in the game. I don't feel like I'm all alone, and it just overall works better. And you tend to have a better mentality within the game as well. But now that you can queue with any number of your friends, whether it's just one extra friend or 4 other friends, I mean, it's a great option, and it does make ranked feel more of an enjoyable experience where you can just feel more at home. And it'll give a lot of players less anxiety because they won't be scared of some random person getting really mad at them if they underperform, and a variety of things like that. Riot themselves even stated that many people have admitted that they are much more inclined to actually play ranked if they can play with their friends versus completely random people. Also, in the new dynamic system, if you end up playing by yourself or just maybe with one other friend, well, since the games technically and theoretically should be less toxic and more friendly, it can be easier to find another group of friends or people that you can play dynamic queue with. So the option for that is definitely there. And Riot has been saying how they're improving their algorithm within the dynamic queue matchmaking system to the point where hopefully it actually works the way it should, because as of right now, or as of recently, it really hasn't. So those are the good things and the positives that I can think of when it comes to the dynamic queue system or the new champion pick and ban phase system. But let us next jump into what are the bad things about these 2 new systems. Well, first and foremost, I mean, it's really just human nature to always try and find a way to exploit the way something works. And while the new champion pick and ban phase is really no exception to that. People will sometimes purposely pick Phil, and then once they get into the actual pick and ban phase of the game, they will try to troll their way to either get someone to switch to what they really wanted, pick a champion for the role that they wanted but didn't get regardless, as long as they are higher up in the pick order, which luckily for us, Riot is actually working towards fighting against such things. Or I mean, at the end of the day, just troll picking regardless if you don't end up getting that role, and maybe having someone else try to dodge it. But aside from people trying to exploit the system, some small annoyances that I personally find, and I feel like a lot of people find, is constantly having to lock in your choices, whether it's what you're banning or picking, is quite annoying. Now this may be just because it is somewhat of a new feature, and maybe after a few weeks it'll just become like second nature and we're just simply used to it. But as it stands right now, you can pretty much not AFK in the new champion pick and ban phase system, or else you will get automatically kicked and it'll count as a dodge. dodge. And well, I'm sure this is going to be happening to a lot of people, especially the servers which did not have this new pick and ban phase to test out before their actual ranked season started. And unfortunately, if this happens during a ranked game and you get a dodge just because you maybe forgot to lock in, is gonna be quite sucky. Aside from that, I've noticed that there are quite a few long queue times, much longer than it should be. Now I'm sure behind the scenes there are various things influencing such behaviors, such as maybe if you're queuing as a pre-made 4 in the dynamic queue system, it can take a while to find a game. If you're maybe as 5 people, it can also take a while. But imagine if you queue up as 5 players in the dynamic queue system. Every player is master tier or above. I mean, I can't imagine how long it will take to find a game that is equal in skill, so aka fighting 5 other master challenger players that are also pre-made 5. Because with the new system, that is essentially Riot's goal. They even stated how 4-man pre-mates have a 98% so far of a chance to face another pre-made 4 team, while 5-man pre-mates have a 96% chance to face another 5-man pre-mate. And with that being said, the matchmaking for Dynamic Queue has quite honestly been a little wonky. You can have such an interesting array of players ranging from ELO, maybe from Plat 5 all the way to Diamond 1 for instance, all within the same game because of this dynamic queue system. I mean, I recently saw a game where it was mainly somewhere around Diamond 3 or Diamond 4 ELO for the most part, and every single player was that ELO except for 2 players on the same team, both of which were Platinum 5. Now that's obviously not fair because in that game those 2 Platinum 5 players actually did quite poorly from what I've seen, and I mean, it's not really fair, and that matchmaking just really shouldn't work that way. But I'm sure Riot is still constantly and consistently working on this issue to make it better. A lot of people, especially in the Reddit community, were arguing that this new dynamic queue system and being able to queue with as many friends as you want, up to of course a maximum of 5, is not really the best way to show off your skill as an individual player. Since you can queue up with 4 other people, potentially people that are far better than you at skill, maybe 4 other smurfs, or many things like that that can carry you much higher elo, and having 4 people do that job, and it's a lot easier than having just 1 other person trying to carry you in a duo queue system. So a lot of people are arguing that, well, it's definitely possible that a lot of players now will have an inflated ranking. There's been a lot of instances where full LCS teams will queue up together on a dynamic queue system, and I mean, even now it's still possible for a full LCS team to face random solo queue type players in dynamic queue. The option to choose Phil as your secondary or whatever role is pretty much the same thing as selecting support, because from what I have seen, Phil has always ended up as a support. Also at the beginning, the 30 seconds to show off what champion you prefer playing feels absolutely useless. And overall, the time for the queue itself, picking up the champions, banning, and everything all together just feels like it takes a little too long. But that right there are my thoughts on the new systems implemented within League of Legends for the new ranked season. Make sure to answer the question I asked at the beginning of the video and let me know down below in the comments, and maybe you'll see your name in the next video. But I really thank all of you so much for watching. Definitely hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and check out the other videos as well. Peace.